Donald Trump received a replica of his grandfather's birth certificate from Chancellor Merz on the 5th of May, 2025 at the Oval Office. Trump's grandfather grew up in Germany and later laid the foundation for the Trump empire. Hello, and welcome again to the Global Cultural Drift Podcast. Geopolitical Queen here with today's episode on how Friedrich Trump, Donald Trump's grandfather, was deported from Germany in 1905. Donald Trump is thrilled. The U.S. president finds the gift, presented to him by Chancellor Friedrich Merz during his inaugural visit to Washington, beautiful and fantastic. It is very personal. The Merz administration put a lot of thought into it. It is a so-called facsimile, a faithful replica of the birth certificate of Donald Trump's grandfather, Friedrich, who was born on March 14, 1869, in the German community of Karlstadt, near the Bad Dürkheim district in Rhineland-Palatinate. Merz presented his namesake's certificate in a gold frame. Trump says he wants to find a place for it in the White House. In an interview in the Oval Office during his first term in office, the U.S. president confused his own father and grandfather. He claimed his father was German. Now, there should be no more confusion, as Trump has his grandfather's birth certificate in black and white. But who was Friedrich Trump? The son of Christian Johannes Trump and Katharina Kober. Friedrich Trump was born in Karlstadt, Palatinate, which was then still part of the Kingdom of Bavaria, and grew up with 4 sisters and a brother. His father was a winemaker and owned a small vineyard. In 1877, he died of a lung disease, leaving the family with heavy debts from medical expenses. His older siblings had to help out on the vineyard, but Friedrich's mother declared her son unsuitable for physical labor, so she sent him to nearby Frankenthal, where the then 14-year-old trained as a hairdresser. Since his chosen profession offered few prospects in the small town, Friedrich immigrated to the USA in 1885 at the age of just 16 to join one of his sisters who was already living there. Initially, Friedrich Trump worked as a hairdresser in New York, but at some point, that was no longer enough for him. He wanted to make big money and live the American dream. With his savings and some money from his sister, Friedrich set off to Seattle in the far northwest of the country in 1891. He had his name anglicized. Friedrich Trump became Frederick Trump. A year later, in 1892, he became an American citizen. In Seattle, Trump acquired a restaurant in the red light district, which he then ran alone. He also offered a private room for women at the time, a well-known code for prostitutes of the time. 2 years later, in 1893, he abandoned the restaurant and sold it. Friedrich Trump then became a businessman. During the Klondike Gold Rush, he operated other restaurants and hotels, some with brothels, in Seattle, Monte Cristo, and the Canadian Yukon. He demonstrated extraordinary intuition. Together with his business partner Ernest Levin, he followed the gold prospectors and built hotels and restaurants along their routes and railroads. In 1901, however, Trump left the business because he suspected the gold rush was coming to an end, as well as him having problems with Levine. He returned to Germany in search of a wife. A wealthy man, Friedrich returned to Karlstadt. His fortune at the time would be equivalent to about $500,000 today. In 1902, Trump married his neighbor's daughter, Elizabeth Crest, who was 11 years his junior. Friedrich convinced Elizabeth to move with him to the U.S., but she soon became homesick. The Trumps returned to Germany with the goal of staying permanently. Friedrich applied to regain Bavarian citizenship, but things turned out differently. The authorities rejected his application. The reason? Trump had avoided German military service by serving in the U.S. As a result, he and his wife were permanently expelled from Germany in 1905. What initially seemed like a defeat was the beginning of a family success story. The Trumps returned to the U.S., settled in the New York borough of Queens, and had 2 children, Friedrich Jr. and John George. Friedrich, now Friedrich again, began investing in real estate, laying the foundation for today's Trump empire. He died in 1918 from the Spanish flu in New York at the age of 49 and was buried in the Lutheran All Faiths Cemetery in Queens. He didn't live to see his grandson, Donald, who was born later in 1946. 100 years later, Trump received German Chancellor Friedrich at the White House in Washington and greeted him with the words, "We love the people of Germany," and so he should. It is with thanks not the least to the German authorities that he is sitting in the Oval Office today. Had his grandfather not been deported from Germany back then, he may have perhaps not been born at all talk of becoming a United States president. So here you have it, folks. If you enjoyed listening to the history of Donald Trump's family members, then kindly leave your comment in the comment section below. And thanks for tuning in. I will be back with the next broadcast. Good day.